Welcome to Friday, everybody. This is Karak with ACG, Dinosaurs, Guns, and Explosives. There's a reason Turok is a classic in gamers' minds, and a reason so many of us probably watch Jurassic Park. It's man against beast, and you may be up against clever girls and Tyrannosaurus Rex who have a hatred for lawyers, but we always find ourselves voting for the dinosaurs. I don't think anybody actually watched the original Jurassic Park without thinking about how cool it would have been if the T-Rex had eaten the kids and the movie ended with that camera just pulling back from a steaming dinosaur pile of poop with kids' legs sticking out of it. Maybe that's just me, but I don't think it actually is. That's why Second Extinction interested me so much. It's a shooter, up to 3 players, where characters are dropped onto a planet and have to perform different missions across the landscape, all the while facing off against different dinosaurs that are mutated into spit and poison throwers, and apparently one that just thinks the funnest activity ever is somersaulting around like a 4-year-old at recess. This is made by Systemic Design and published by Avalanche. I got some preview time with it recently, and these are my overall thoughts. Thanks to Abssii for jumping in as well. FYI, this preview is bound down to one region. This will be the region that is in early access and a couple locations inside of it. The main game, when it's finally released, will have more regions to explore. So basically, you take the form of one of 4 badasses drop shipping onto a planet to kill dinosaurs with guns. These are ladies and gentlemen badass enough that hot coffee probably has a warning about being sipped by them. The first thing I noticed in Second Extinction, the moment I started playing, was the open world elements. While you're dropped onto the game world to perform particular missions, there's a couple side missions that are available, like finding old destroyed items that you can repair and ship back to your vessel, or locate lost beacons. Almost all of these give you some kind of resource for upgrading different things later. For example, this is where the strength sort of pops up. As we were going around and doing our main mission, which was the priority, we also got a mission that said, do you want to hunt a T-Rex? And of course, taking out dinosaurs gets you items for upgrading different things later on. The 10 different weapons, for instance. So of course we did it, and we took it down. I can't say it was an overabundance of skill. In fact, if you ask enough chicks out, someone's bound to say yes. That's pretty much how we took this guy down. It was quantity over quality. And I mean, the enemy had a weak spot, but it wasn't exactly easy to hit it when 40 other dinosaurs were trying to crawl up inside you like you're a fucking new Cabela's winter tent. Another thing that Extinction had going for it, though, was the threat level system of those dinosaurs. Each region has a spot and a threat level, and they go up and down depending on a gamer and the gamer's success in those regions. See it raise and the area gets more dangerous. Since threat level directly impacts the rewards for completing missions, that's going to be a nice tit for tat for balance. Risk a dangerous spot to lower that region, but also it's going to be harder. Come out the other end of it though, and you might have some cool supplies and upgrades. Sadly, this is also a bit of an issue. The only location that will be available on early access is the tundra. This is a large snowy map that, while expansive and interesting with a good amount of verticality, it looks pretty rough when it comes down to it, especially when it comes to texture and just design and sort of repetitiveness. It also means that seeing enemies from far away not exactly respond to your fire can sort of ruin a little bit of that immersion, kill their best friend, and it brought some of that roughness up to the forefront, especially because they didn't do a lot. Now, once you get up close, it actually ends up turning that heat up a great deal. But I would have liked to see some of those locations have a bit more of a cover and stealth to them. Also, graphically, I had a number of different little bugs. Some of those you may actually notice in this footage. I tried to cut most of the footage out that had that, but unfortunately, that removed a lot of the footage I actually had of the game. That being said, when combat gets going, and even with a bit of this suspect AI systems running, the game is no slouch. And that's because the game just throws a bunch of dinosaurs at you. Some of them are ranged. They lob spit at you. There's armored ones that dig under the ground. And of course, you can't hit them at that time until they pop up and then chew into you. There's Triceratops, there's T-Rexes, and a couple more. None are what you're going to consider actually easy to take down. In fact, some of them soak up more damage than I feel like they actually should have. And that doesn't even include the armored ones. Also, the game doesn't have the overall finesse of Vermintide when it gets up and close. And so that means it can be a bit rough when you're doing so. It does need to be a bit balanced. For example, all guns have ammo counters, which can be replenished with ammo drops. But guns like the minigun also have heat buildup, meaning you're balancing 2 resources instead of 1 for really no good reason. And since the enemies soak a shit ton of bullets, it can feel a bit awkward to have to balance both those, the heat and also the actual ammo itself, when especially that gun just chews through ammo so quickly and doesn't really kill the enemies insanely fast. And who am I kidding? When I say it doesn't kill them fast, I mean it's like a chainsaw against a steak, and somehow the steak takes like 3 seconds to get cut through. Each character has specials that they can unlock as they progress as well, though, like healing zones, electrical traps, and otherwise. This means there's going to be a smart and thoughtful setup, I think, required depending on what mission you take on and what that threat level is for the location. For example, a mission where you're just trying to repair a ton of dropships and you have to do a lot of looting and scooting might be better off with a sniper character to take out some of those distance enemies, while the later missions or different ones you choose might find you trying to track down lost researchers and might require you to go into caves or other quicker and closer locations where maybe shotguns and grenade launchers work out. If the preview showed me anything, though, it's that Second Extinction has some excellent ideas, but also some rough execution. The world and the open missions I really did like, even though there's not a ton of them. I think that could be something great. The shooting and the combat itself, when you get to that closer moments, it works, but the enemies themselves don't have a lot of variety, and that's even more noticeable because, again, it didn't seem too balanced right away. The war effort and the overall world adjusting to your actions, I think that that's going to be very cool. But I hope it's not taking into account the total actions in those locations and is more of a percentage of the people who are engaging. Because if only a few players pick this up, then some different sections could become hyper difficult very quickly. Also, even in the preview, and despite going to different spots and having a couple of those missions, it did feel a bit repetitive. This was a combination, again, of the variation in the dinosaurs, are not a ton of them, the few weapons, there's only 10 with some upgrades, and only a couple characters, 4. Those tanking enemies, even with stuns against all that, sort of felt a bit ho-hum. So that's it for me. I hope you guys like these previews. If you do, give it a thumbs up. Share it if you can. That absolutely helps. Facebook and Twitter and Reddit, those kind of places. You can always follow me on the various social medias that are in the description of this video. I hope you guys have an excellent weekend. Keep on gaming. Peace out and enjoy the rest of your week.